Hi, welcome to the Premier Power Hour podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Billy. We both have mustaches.
Yeah, I saw you went with a mustache. You told me you were going to go with a mustache today.
Full mustache. For people familiar with Premier history, this is called a Larry Krask special.
Is it?
Yes.
Does mine have a model after anybody?
No.
We
can call it. Yeah, we'll just call it the Krask special.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's warmer.
I feel like you're making fun of me.
I'm not at all.
So this is flattery.
Imitation is the most sincere
highest form of flattery.
Flattery,
yes.
yeah. Is it highest or is it sincerest?
Something like that.
It's kind of kitty corner or catty corner, depending on where you grew up, kind of thing.
I don't know about yours. Mine smells of beef and cheddar.
How dare you? Mine does not. I swept it thoroughly before this.
It's clean. Post lunch, they get a little tangy.
Yep.
We've got a rather wide ranging topic today, and I think we should, because this is all about, we just want to get out there. We are casting a wide net. We are trying to be informative and entertaining. So I say we just all bets are off. Everything, no holds barred.
Yep. Push it all into the center.
NSFW.
Ooh, okay.
Whatever we want to do.
Sure.
Whatever we want to say. This is the episode.
This is it.
That's going to just blow the whole thing up.
Wow,
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
All
Do you want to lead the charge?
Not particularly.
Okay,
but
great. One of the things we're going to talk about is packaging, what it has been, what it is, what it will be. And so, I'm relatively new to the game, less than 2 years. Now, you have been with Premier Packaging a lot longer than 2 years.
I've been around.
Is it now?
I've been around a little while, like 10 or 11, something like that. 11,
Congrats.
10.
Congrats. All right, so why don't you tell
some
me
changes from it's not like
changes,
I can talk about the history of packaging, but just the changes that I've seen in the industry, and maybe specific to Premier since I've been here. Certainly growth, right? And when I started in 2011, we were experiencing some pretty good steady growth for several years, but then. Wham bam! The last 2 years during a pandemic, explosive growth.
Yeah,
not just within the United States, but kind of globally.
Absolutely.
For Premier and the packaging industry.
Yeah.
What have we all been doing for the last 2 years other than sitting at home ordering stuff?
Just ordering stuff off of our couch. Yep. The packaging has changed monumentally. Ship from store, ship direct. People aren't doing as much brick and mortar now. They're doing far more just e-commerce, like not having to build, not having to have all that overhead, that infrastructure, that kind of stuff. Obviously quite a lot has changed in 50 years. This would have been really in vogue in the 70s.
I know. I would have been hip.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't look bad though. That's the thing. It still looks sharp. You have just that perfect, just a touch of gray.
You have no gray in yours.
Zero. Mine is spry.
I am
and
impressed
youthful.
at the jet black nature of that thing.
And I grew it last night. It was quite a feat. So did it all to be here today. But from 50 years ago.
Well, just kind of from what I've seen. Again, here at Premier, I remember back in the day we used to have. At our 3900 warehouse, you used to just see bags and bags and bags of peanuts and bubble wrap like that.
We've styrofoam,
gotten away from those kind of non-recyclable void fill type of things to other stuff.
Yeah, I think industry-wide from my job, what I do now of going in and talking to people current day about their packaging needs and what they're doing, everybody kind of their gears kind of get ground when they start talking about some styrofoam. I think what I'm trying to say is that everybody knows that sustainability is the way that we're supposed to go.
Yeah.
And so in any way where we can do a shift from non-sustainable, bad for the environment, non-recyclable stuff, trying to pivot into that kind of stuff. Because there are some areas where we're achieving growth, like cold chain is one where it's pretty hard if you have to keep something temperature controlled for 3 or 4 days, especially where I'm at in Arizona. In the summertime, there's some limitations that we have, but I would say that there are always new players to the game, different people trying to figure out a way to make even the most unsustainable areas of packaging sustainable.
And in this day and age, think of cold chain. I mean, when you're talking about you're in a global pandemic, you gotta ship your vaccines.
Yep.
You gotta ship your horse paste.
Yep. Those were the two. Those were number one and number two of the items that came into your brain. What brand of horse paste do you use?
I like the, anything with like the stripe of mint in it. A little sparkly.
That's good. With the way that packaging is going, touching on cold chain, so much of this is service-based, right? So you have the meal kits, all that stuff. A bunch of these service-based companies are getting into the packaging space because people want to be able to have something just ready-made, ease of use, come straight to your door.
And the conversation since I started, hugely changed and increased to this talk of sustainability.
Yeah.
Right. That is what it's all about.
Yeah, and I mean it's where it can fit best. But I mean the customers are asking, hey, how do I do this in an efficient way, in a responsible way? And that can be luxury packaging, cold chain, or just whatever the heck they're asking for. There's ways to do it, but people are asking about that for sure.
So you've been here for a relatively short period of time.
Yep.
I mean, you're new.
Yeah, I'd still say I'm new.
Yeah.
There's a whole internet of knowledge that I don't have yet that I am learning. So,
and I've forgotten more than you'll.
We're a
No, I
great
can't say
pair.
that.
We're a great pair.
But what are your customers asking you for? What is the need? What is the want out there?
Probably the easiest and hottest topic is the switching from poly mailers to a paper mailer, something that's fully curbside recyclable that they don't have to take into a specialized recycling place. Any automation that can go from poly to a paper. There's some really great advancements that have come out that Premier has made and stuff that's going to be coming out in the future.
I imagine we will have future shows.
I believe we will.
More about this amazing paper.
Yeah, so I'd say that, and then I'd say any way that they can reduce their box size. So any way where they can use corrugated, because Ed Gallegos had told us in one of the other episodes that corrugated has a 90+% recycle rate,
right.
And so corrugated is not a dirty word at all within the recycling industry. So you can do corrugated, but how do you reduce the amount of corrugated that you're using? Because that's a sustainability push. Because if it's already going to be recycled, more than 9 in 10 boxes are,
right?
Then if you can just use less of it, that is a sustainability push. So they're trying to figure out how they can, honestly, they're just trying to figure out how they can do what they do without bankrupting them by going sustainable. You can't wrap everything in algae, but how do we do what we need to do? And then we can say, hey, we have done our due diligence. We've done our part.
Most kind of off the wall, not anything that a customer's asked for that you had to say, oh, I don't even know what that is. I got to do a little research on this.
There have been a couple bottling projects.
Okay.
Where they wanted a very particular type of glass that was more recyclable than glass, and I thought, what are we doing here?
Okay.
They're an entrepreneur. They have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
So that's where I talk to Jeff Steele and say, hey, have you heard of this? What are we going to do? Stuff like that. The other one would be a cold chain where they had to have things cold at a certain temperature for 3 days, but they wanted something that was fully curbside recyclable.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Well, talk to Jeff Steele, do a little bit of research. There's a couple of people that are doing some cool stuff out there. It obviously is going to cost more than what, your styrofoam and your, dry ice is, but there are options out there that are growing, and there are more competitors in the market, so then that's just going to drive down the price.
Understood. Any luxury packaging opportunities or any kind of.
The great thing about
there.
luxury packaging is because it's already luxury, they don't mind spending more to do a sustainability push.
Right.
If you're going into a warehouse and they just are a corrugated factory and you're trying to push more sustainability, or they're doing, I should say, like they're just doing a ton of poly mailers, any switch to something that's more sustainable might incur a little bit more of an expense. There's a little more hesitation, but with luxury packaging, because they're already using really high quality goods, part of sustainability, let me put it this way. If somebody is using a sustainable product, or you're receiving something and part of their pitch is that they're sustainable, research shows people already see that as a luxury good or a luxury brand. So they kind of go hand in hand. So that's a much easier conversation when you're having a conversation about luxury packaging and marrying it with sustainability.
Have you ever heard any research about, I think I've read this, about the honesty factor of someone with a mustache versus without a mustache?
I have. Isn't there something about Harry S. Truman?
Maybe, I don't
story
know.
About that?
I don't remember if that was the case, but are guys with mustaches less trustworthy or more?
We're shooting 50%. The story, as I remember, and we should fact check this and put it at the bottom of the screen, but it was something that somebody polled. I think it was when Truman, the election or something like that.
Okay.
And they had polled all of the women coming out of the polls and asked them, do you trust the guy with a mustache more or less? And based on that answer, one of the candidates had a mustache and one of them did not. And based on whatever women said was the more trustworthy person, that's the person that got elected. And I think they were an underdog.
I don't think Harry had a mustache. I think he was.
Then we are highly suspect. Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about where we've come.
Yep. Where are we going?
Do you ever watch the Jetsons? Flying cars.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I
Living
could
in-
pinpoint different episodes, but I know
Right,
the
yeah.
premise. Yeah.
Robot maids.
Yeah.
You got one of those robot vacuum cleaners?
I do not. Do you?
Yeah, there's one somewhere in the house. It kind of went rogue and
Did it?
It's holed up in a closet somewhere.
There's
attacking the dogs.
Yeah. I've seen those. Have you seen those videos where they literally will clean around the dog? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the dog doesn't want to
Very
get up,
lazy
but it'll
dog.
just push into the stomach and just clean that up, which is nice. It's not hurting anybody. Everybody's happy.
Let's talk about the future.
Yeah.
1.21 gigawatts.
Here we go. 3D printing is going to be a huge thing.
I'm a
because
little confused about that. Is that
I don't know all the intricacies of it. I just know what's on my paper, and I know what
I was
I've
a little.
heard.
I wish I had looked that up before, because I didn't know if it was 3D printing like 3D movies, or if it was more just digital printing.
So I hope you know the difference between like 3D printing and then a 3D movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so nothing's being
Static
printed. That one is
versus kinetic.
Okay, good.
Sure.
We're there. Basically, I'm pretty sure it's just basically injection mold kind of thing, and you can make stuff out
it's
of heart.
it's the 3D printing with it, where you can make I can make a saddle, out of or whatever, a
A lot of horse references.
right.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, 3D, like one-off
Responsible 3D printing in the packaging industry is supposedly going to allow for greater flexibility, efficiency, and cost reduction by helping usher in print-to-order manufacturing.
Right. If I only have 5 of these things that I'm going to ship out, and I only need 5.
And that's the thing, is there's so many small businesses across our country that have needs for packaging, but they're not going to, they have 5 of an item. So if we can just print out 5 of an item and get it to them versus having to do a gigantic run of things.
Like print on demand.
Print on demand.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Instead of having a warehouse full of every kind of book that's in your catalog, you just have, and this would be the same thing for packaging.
Yeah. Other future things, QR codes, ways to scan and view other kind of anything that's sensor activated. That's
Huge.
Gonna be,
See that in commercials a lot now?
Yep.
Like where the Super Bowl ads, where they were
when the
just
Super Bowl
QR,
ads, and it was just that.
a big giant QR code
How long did it
staring
take?
at you.
How long did it take you to figure that one out? Because
I don't know.
it took me a while.
I'm still trying to figure out the 3D
it got me
printing.
really excited when it was the when I realized that it was bouncing around the screen and it was going to get to the corner. That made me very happy.
It was heading there.
It was heading there.
Yeah.
It actually made it.
But think about that. Talk about branding with your packaging. You've got a QR code on your package that show. I mean,
and QR codes are not a new phenomenon at all. More than a decade ago, they had these. But I think people are finding that as you want to differentiate yourself and want to lead, you want to create a customer experience to flow a certain particular way. It's a good way to get your message out there and lead the customer through the process you want them to go down.
You can capture them.
Yep.
You know, I mean, we're all constantly carrying our phones. We can. It's like going to a restaurant, right? You don't even see paper menus anymore.
Nope.
They give you a QR code.
Yep.
You scan it.
Yep.
Specials, appetizers.
Yeah.
Shakes.
Are you a Jamocha shake?
I don't think we can say, but yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I had my first one today, and it was
delicious.
delightful. Speaking of delightful and consuming, supposedly there's some editable packaging or just dissolvable. Probably, let's go more the dissolvable route, because I'm going to be honest, I probably am not going to just bite into a box. But the dissolvable is pretty cool. Have you seen these packaging peanuts that are made out of cornstarch?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Dissolve. You just pour them in a bucket of water.
Yeah.
And dissolve. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty cool. I'm thinking if you did have edible packaging, you know, like you run out of cereal and you're stuck for breakfast, and you can just start. That sounds cool to me.
There's a market for that. Yeah.
Why
Would you want it to match the flavor of whatever it is? Like if it's a chocolate thing, you want the box to taste like chocolate, or do you want it to pair with what it is?
Like chocolate and orange, or something like that.
Yeah.
Peanut butter and bananas.
Yeah.
Something.
Okay.
Scratch and sniff. That makes me think of why can't we do that? That should be something.
That should be something. Good smelling packaging.
We should look into that.
If nobody's doing it, they should. You heard it here first. The idea might sound a little gonzo of the editable or dissolvable.
Thank you, Steve.
But
thank you, Steve, for
the
gonzo.
Editable packaging industry is projected to experience a compound annual growth rate of 6.81% from 2017 to 2023. That is a very
We're in that right now.
We're in it.
Yeah.
If you can hear, they're excited about it. But so yeah, I mean, they're using cornstarch and other algae, natural sweeteners, natural dyes from fruits and vegetables to make this stuff. So the possibilities are endless.
Edible packaging.
I think dissolvable is going to be, for my money, I think the dissolvable is going to be the better play.
I guess it's a good example or a good segue into the fact that the future holds quite a bit of possibilities for packaging.
Yeah, I mean, anytime where we can reduce materials or emissions or the amount of space that we're using to store things, it's a win for the customer, it's a win for the environment. Win-win, as they would say.
I thought of and I don't pay attention. I'm not the hippest, despite the mustache. I'm not the most in tune. I do not have my fingers on the pulse of most things. But and we brought this up before. Like, why do you have to get water in the plastic bottle? Why can't you do it in something a little more recyclable, a paper product?
Yep.
And I've seen coconut water and everything and those type of things. I didn't know they made regular water, and that's going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun to tell you that existed.
Yeah.
I was happy to deliver that news for you.
That's why I come in, is to find out new stuff.
That's what we're here to do, is to help people find new stuff and to educate them on packaging and what's going on in the world of packaging. I think they did that. I think we did a decent enough job of that today.
Smart warehousing was one other thing we talked about or discussed a little bit. Do you have any idea? Like, I've been to some rather large distribution facilities that while there are a lot of people working in the building, so much of it is automated. With robots.
Yep. Oh yeah, I've been to
scary.
a cold storage facility where they use exclusively robots, and then every truck comes into a conveyor system where it gets unloaded and then it routes with a series of cameras.
Yep.
They're dialed. Part of it is because it is, I think, negative 15 degrees in that warehouse.
Yeah,
because it's a
who
ton
wants to work?
So what employee wants to work there?
Any fear of those robots? I mean, like my vacuum at home has gone nuts and holed up.
Yeah,
in the
I mean,
closet.
I think some of the products maybe make me a little wary, but ultimately, I don't know.
It's
Probably.
with the future.
What can we do?
What can we do?
What can we do?
I feel like prop wise, you've checked off the box with the mustache. But do we have
Thanks.
any more shtick today?
I don't have another
What's in the
actual
box?
item of what's in the box, sponsored by Premier Packaging, but I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Mustaches.
I hope it's not about 3D printing.
It's
Go
not.
ahead.
No,
All right,
don't
good.
worry. No. And if it was, I would have changed it. Regarding mustaches, something that I think are cool, but were definitely cooler a long time ago.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything that you used to think like this is the coolest thing ever that now you're like, nope, absolutely not?
I wish I had thought about this.
Can I start with my example?
Please,
Okay.
please.
So my example, and this only got ruined for me within the last year. When you go to a beach and you see somebody with the metal detectors,
yeah.
I'd see the infomercials for them, and I was like, this is it. This is how I'm going to strike it big. There's treasure out there
Yeah.
because the ad said so. And I, as other people would, some people laugh at those people.
Yeah.
Up until literally like within a year or 2 years ago, I was like, yeah, that's what I want. Lauren, wifey, please get me one of those for Christmas or for my birthday. And very recently, and I just end the episode now if you don't want your bubble popped on this stream. Friends of mine went to a beach, saw a guy, had a bunch of kids, and they thought it'd be fun to put some quarters in the sand and tell him, hey,
Right.
you can go. He couldn't find a single one.
So the thing
doesn't really work. And
you
that,
probably kind of have to know what you're doing, and they've got knobs and
but
dials
that
on them.
that
At least mine does.
that wrecked me. So, that's
I
fantastic.
got mine in the car.
Great.
You know what? And people do that without even going to beaches, and they're in people's backyards.
Yeah.
And you know what they're doing? They're looking in privies or whatever, which is just turn of the century toilets, and that's where because a lot of people threw away a lot of good stuff apparently in the outhouses, and that's what they're using their metal detectors
I'm convinced
for.
there is treasure in the forest behind my parents' house where I grew up.
There you go. I knew when this thing started that this was going to be just the blow up breakout show where it was just so amazingly entertaining and controversial that everyone would be watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just like a metal detector,
just
like a metal
mustache
detector,
episode.
there is a lot of garbage, but there's some really good gold, and I think there's some gold in our episode.
I think we found a little nugget.
Little nugget.
I can't wait till we do this again. So thank you all for joining us for the Premier Power Hour podcast. I'm Billy.
I'm Zach.
Until next time, have fun.
Do you have comments, questions, or ideas about this topic? If so, we'd like to hear from you. Please visit primpack.com/podcast to let us know what you think. Thanks.